Yeah.
I guess I'm going first. Okay.
Would you be able to both introduce yourself and how long have you been together?
So my name is Benjamin Abraham.
And I'm Angel Jacob Abraham.
Yeah, married 2 years. Technically been total together for 3.5.
So you're a COVID couple.
Yes,
Yeah, technically.
My name is Elizabeth Uman,
My name is Kieran.
and this is Preston Uman. We have been together for 6 years in total, 4 years married.
My name is Jonathan.
And I'm Jasmine.
So we've been going out for 16 years and we've been married for 10 years.
My name is Bobby Thomas Worthy.
I'm Annie Thomas, and we have been married for 40 years.
My first question to you is, what does living last mean to you?
When I think of the words living last, essentially it's a mentality.
Just embodying that spirit of servanthood that Jesus kind of championed.
This mentality of service forces you to, stray away from what your natural habit might be and to be intentional about every aspect of your life to give rather than receive. It's all about waiting for your self-gratification until someone else is better off or has the better thing.
Keep everybody else before you. You should be the last person you should be thinking about.
Does living last, is it easy or difficult? Does it come naturally to you?
Nothing comes easy, Shobit. It's difficult, yes. Sometimes it gets very difficult. Sometimes it gets very annoying. Sometimes it gets very disheartening. But yes, we manage.
It is very difficult. There are a lot of tough conversations that you have in marriages too, and especially when you have a child, your actions and your decisions really do impact the next generation.
It's kind of both. It depends on the context. Those who I would be considering close or who I would be considering friends, it's very easy to live last with those type of people. For me, the stranger or the person I would consider a stranger or an acquaintance, it's a little harder to maybe accomplish living last with them. I try to go in with that attitude, but it's harder to actually follow through on it.
Actually, my answer is kind of completely opposite to his because you could call me a people pleaser because it's important for me that people like me. So it's easier for me to do that living last for strangers and with people, my loved ones. In a way, to a small extent, I do take them for granted. I feel like if I'm selfish at times, they would understand, and that's not true for strangers.
When you're young, your priorities are different. And when you get older, the priorities changes. Priorities changes every day, in fact.
It's a challenge though, but we feed off each other. Our strength is the two of us.
So now we're going to move more specifically into the partners. What characteristics do you recommend people look for in their partner when they want to put God first in their relationship?
When we first started talking to each other, we had one of the first questions that we asked each other was how do you define love? And we both answered with the fact that that putting the other person first is our definition of it was not word to word, but that was the core essence of our answers. And that is actually that was the moment when I knew that he was the one.
It's someone that you can see God coming out from them, essentially in every way. In all their actions that they do, they're trying to mirror God, or at least trying their best to.
Nobody is perfect. So don't look for anybody who's looking for partners. Never look for a perfect person.
You will not find one.
You will never find.
They're constantly seeking a relationship with Christ and bringing you along with it, encouraging you to pray, encouraging you to go to church, encouraging you to live a life that's Christian 7 days a week and not just on Sunday.
There will be troubling times in your marriage that you question your faith. So you need a solid ground to stand on when life throws you a curveball, that you'll always fall back on God and not just, you don't want to free fall.
have an identity, I think, before you get married is really key.
Yeah, but you need to love yourself too. Somewhere in that picture, you need to love yourself too. You should also love, yourself, because you're important to God.
Figuring out what the core principles that you are never going to let go of are.
We were good friends before we got married.
Are you recommending to these people to
Yeah,
follow that
yeah.
step?
If you have a good friend, never look for anything else. I mean, this is my best friend that I had. He's still my best friend.
Anything to add there about your uncle?
Nothing to add to that.
What was your relationship with God like when you were single versus now that you are married?
As a single person, you're very much, at least for me, it's much, for my school, my career, need to find a guy. Those are all the key aspects. It's very me, myself, and I. But I think when we get married, all those things really do take a backseat, and it just becomes about the family, it becomes spouse.
Personally, I was very much involved in church activities, the youth group and singing. Those are the two things I was very much involved.
It was a very strict rule in our house that we have to go to church, no matter what. Nothing comes on Sunday morning except church. We both started with the choir actually. We met like that and we got married being in the choir.
So that continued, that relationship with friends, with God, between us continued, and I think it's still continuing the same.
What I can say is when I was single, the focus wasn't really there, and there's no one to kind of catch you when you're falling as well. Whereas now, after I've been married, I know that I've got someone that will catch me when I'm slipping.
I'm going to steal a phrase when we were discussing this a little bit before that Angel mentioned is our bubble has expanded. So before it was just God and us as individuals, but now it's God, Angel, and me, right? Like it's now a 3-person bubble versus a 2-person bubble.
My mentality is very different than what I'm saying to you right now. And that's maturity and growth and all those things, right?
It doesn't mean that our personal relationship with God has completely gone away. We definitely do have our own time with God. But then we also now have, it's an addition to what we previously had.
Once you got married and once you had Preston, was that just an automatic shift in your brain of like going from me, myself, and I to family first?
For me, it was an automatic switch. You have to be, because once Preston is bored, he has no one else to, raise him. So as parents, you're just automatically switches from, focusing on myself to focusing on him and seeing what he needs. So that includes going countless days without sleep, working around your work schedule, personal schedule, giving up on your social life sometimes.
For him, it was automatic. For me, it wasn't. It was definitely gradual, and I'm still working on it. Like, suddenly me, myself, and I, and we're split into roles now. Now we're parents, which is such a big, heavy word for us. So I think it does take a toll, and I think this will always be there, especially as he continues to grow as well, too.
How do you prioritize God and each other in your decision-making processes?
So it's always a learning process. We feed off each other actually. It takes time, effort, strength, trust.
We always bring whatever we are asking for or asking God what He wants to unfold in our lives, whether it's plans for the future or even the smallest decision.
There's different various phases as well, especially in your relationship. At some point, you start your family, you get yourself a house, you're figuring out your finances and whatever. It comes down to how much do you want God to be a part of this? How much do you want God to lead your way during this phase? And the answer to that will dictate, whether it's a success or a failure, essentially.
And in any decision that we make, God is our anchor. Like, He really is what grounds us. So like Kiran said before, we are not free falling. We have the Bible to go to. We have each other to go to, which is really important to make sure the other person is backing you up and their faith is just as strong as yours too. So, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Can you do one together?
Living less.
Yes! Perfect! Okay, wow. Okay. Sorry, I was...
Our next question.
I don't comment on his why. Because I know he won't listen.